Despite everything that's been written about zig fishing, I still really believe it's a real underestimated method, an approach that we should use a lot more, to be honest. I mean, I started using zigs quite a few years ago now, and I've caught so many decent fish, whereas I would have just reeled in and gone home without a bite, sitting there with static rods. I speak to a lot of anglers and they say, oh, I don't do zigging. I can't really understand that, because when I go fishing, I like to be able to adapt to every situation that I come across. And it's just like saying, well, I don't do floater fishing or I don't do stalking. As far as I'm concerned, zigging is a massive part of my fishing. Like when I get to a lake, if the fish are up in the layers, there's no way I'm going to sit behind static bobbins. I don't know why people just do that, you know. I can't understand it. I'm quite a flexible angler, and for me to get out and try and catch them, whether they're on the top, they're sitting mid-water, or they're on the bottom, I've got to be able to adapt to the situation every time I'm on the bank. So if they're up in the layers, I'm certainly going to put something up in the layers to try and catch them. If they're on the top, I'll be floater fishing or using an over-depth zig. It's a fantastic method, and like I say, a lot of people do not use it. Like most people, like I know that do zigging, might just willy-nilly just chuck one out. It's the last night, and then just for the sake of it, like, you know. Or if they are zigging, they reel them in the daytime and won't leave them out there at night. Whereas for me, if I'm fishing for fish that are up in the layers, I'll have all rods on it, all 3 rods. And you have to work at zigging the same as you do at stalking, the same as you do at floater fishing. You have to try and locate where they are to start with. You have to try and present a bait to them that's acceptable to them, whether it's a bit of foam, whether it's a floating, like a pop-up, or whether it's an imitation beetle, like a zig bug. You have to present it in such a way that you would fishing on the bottom, or if you're fishing on the surface, you've got to work at it. I'll use all 3 rods until I find out what depth the fish are in and what hook bait that they really prefer to take. You know, because they'll be sitting there in that mid-water. A piece of foam may not look edible to them, but a beetle may in the crystal clear waters. So that's my approach to zig fishing. But as it is with every type of fishing, I'll put a maximum effort into it and try and find out where they are and try to get them on the bank. Right, so I've just turned up at the lake. I'm at my chosen venue, and the fish are evidently up in the layers. So straight away, in my head, I am going to fish for them up in the layers on zigs or on the top. If it turns out that I'm going to fish for them on zigs because they're cruising around mid-water, then you must know the depth of the water. If you fish too deep, you're going to be fishing over depth, which I've done quite a few times where I've sort of guesstimated it and gone a little bit too deep and ruined my chances of a bite. It doesn't always ruin it, depends what your surface bait is. Sometimes you'll still get a bite on the top, but if they're cruising under the surface, then you want to be under the surface. So to get your depth right, it's quite awkward really, because you don't want to start chucking a plumbing rod at them. So unless you've got sort of knowledge from previous sessions and you know the water that you're fishing, then you can probably guesstimate it and get it fairly accurate. So basically, like on a day like today, I've seen the fish cruising about, sun's out, I ain't going to get a chance on the bottom, so I've got 2 rods out there. I'm actually fishing like zig beetles at the moment. It's crystal clear water out there, and I feel that they're more likely to take one of them than a bit of plastic or a bit of or a boilie, you know. The way I set my end tackle up is if I'm using just a bit of foam, normally I like to use just a bit of black foam, to be honest. And in the past, I have tipped it with different colours like white or yellow, works pretty good. I'll fish it on a little tiny sort of size 10 hook, real sharp, strong hook, and fish it on the hair, a little bit of foam. It's on the hair with a little tiny bit of tubing, like a little just on the curve of the shank, just to keep it all in place, because sometimes it tends to twist round. And then my hook link has to be a nice supple hook link, one that's not too visible. I really rate the Zig and Floater from Fox and the Gardener one at the moment, Zig Link, I'm using all the time. 2 really good hook links. There's plenty of them out there, but that's the one that I actually like to use. And moving up, I use a little boom that that attaches itself to the swivel below the lead, and that kind of acts as a little boom to separate the hook link on the cast. And then I have the lead clip. I don't put the tail rubber on. The reason for that is the lead just fits over to the little clip on the side, and then I'll tape it up with a bit of PVA tape, or what are quite good, them little electrical ties, the PVA ones. I think Godman's do them. They're really good, they pull up nice and tight. Basically, I've got to dump that lead. I'm sometimes using a fairly long hook link, sort of anywhere up to 12 foot. And if I'm using that, the last thing I want is a big lead hanging around with a big ball of weed on it or something. It's only going to cause problems. I'm going to lose the fish. So it's quite important for me to lose that lead. Most times, 9 times out of 10 when I'm reeling, the lead's always on. If you reel it in without bouncing the rig across the lake bed or the surface, you ain't going to lose it. So you're saving your leads. But if I get a bite, I 100% want to lose it. So basically, that's the actual setup that I use for my Zig fishing. There's nothing complicated. Like I say, good strong hook, nice supple hook link, and a lead clip where the lead comes off. Yeah, and that's it.